There are supervillains against productivity lurking all over campus today, tomorrow, and they want to distract you. They don't want to rob you of your money or your possessions, but they do want to rob you of your time, and they want to rob you of your productivity by actually pulling you away through interruption traps, away from meaningful work, okay? And I know that you all are familiar with these villains that we're going to talk about today. But one thing we are going to do today is we're going to expose these villains, okay? So we're going to do a real quick scenario, real quick. I want you to think about a time when you are just in the middle of focus, in the middle of work, in the middle of a project that really needs your attention. What's likely to happen to take that focus away, okay? Think what distraction's going to take your focus away. Think of 3 things and write them on your handout, okay? Real quick. And when you have those 3 things, I want you to share them with your neighbor, okay? So just back and forth, find someone around you and share what you got. You can go back to back. Turn around, look around. So someone share with me, just share with me one of your interruptions, one of your distractions, Shell.
Somebody walks in with something else.
Somebody walks in with something else. I don't know about that. What else?
Email notifications.
Phone calls, email
notifications.
notifications. Donna?
I was going to say phone.
You were going to say phone? Okay.
Randomly remembering.
Office mates randomly remembering things. Okay, okay.
Multiple deadlines at the same time.
Multiple deadlines at the same time. What else?
You have to leave for a meeting.
You have to leave for a meeting and you're in the middle of something, maybe? Yeah?
Don't have what you need.
Don't have what you need.
Construction noise.
Construction noise. There's a lot of distractions that can pull us away, right? And I think we're going to see a lot of these kind of in the form of these villains as we go through, okay? So I found a couple of studies that were really, really interesting that shows just how detrimental these distractions can be, okay? Dr. Sophie Leroy, she's a business professor at the University of Minnesota. And what she found, her study showed that if I'm working on task A and I just quickly switch to task B without finishing task A, that my cognition is still on task A, okay? So when we think about that and you say, okay, well, why does that matter? Well, it really applies now to this multitasking myth. And my slide is not working. And there we go. Multitasking myth, right? That our brains can really not focus on a lot of things at one time. That we're much better off from a productivity standpoint if we really just focus on one thing at a time. Another study I found was by Gloria Mark, the University of California, Irvine, and what she found was that an average office worker only gets 11 minutes between interruptions, between distractions. And so I'm just trying a little experiment today with our cell phones turned on just to see, you know, I bet we beat this 11 minutes. I'm not real sure, but I bet we're going to be interrupted a little bit more often than every 11 minutes, okay? And then this 25 up here is the average amount of minutes it actually takes our brains to then refocus back on what we're doing. So you can see that as we're switching to all these tasks, as we're having these interruptions come in and we're switching and switching, it's not good for our productivity, okay? And so we're talking about interruptions, but more importantly, we're talking about how we can be more productive despite those interruptions, because we're going to get them. You know, this talk is not called eliminate distractions, right? There's a way to do that. May not be feasible, but it's managing those distractions, okay? So as we, do y'all hear that? Do you hear it? Oh, it's the supervillains, and they've brought their ship. They've stolen the Star Destroyer. So, now, just a warning, okay? We're fixing to enter the distraction zone, okay? So this may make some of you kind of uncomfortable, okay? You might experience nausea or shortness of breath. You might feel the need to check your cell phone, right? Pull out your phone, check for messages and emails, okay? Just hang with me. Don't do that. But we're going to enter the distraction zone, and I think there's going to be some supervillains. Yes, villains have been spotted in the distraction zone, okay? So one thing this is going to take your help, but do you remember the old Batman show from like the 60s, right? What would happen when Batman would attempt to hit somebody? Bam, right? Kapow, whatever it was, right? And you didn't really see the violence, right? You just saw this and then this thing, and then all of a sudden the guy was whatever, right? So no violence today, no violence today. But what I want to do is I want us to say what this action's going to pop up as, all right? I'm not sure if there are any actions at all, but we'll see. Let's try. Ready? Let's go. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Kapow. All right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Kapow. Who's behind the kapow button? It's the, it's the email of evil. It's the email of evil. And that's not a typo, right? There's 2 I's because it's evil, right? If it's really bad, it's evil. So, this email of evil can actually attack through a tactic of just mass, right? It can just come and it's all friendly at first. It's like, ding, hey, got a message for you. Hey, ding, here's another. And then like 20 minutes go by and you've got a bunch of emails, right? Or you're spending your time answering all those emails. So you could amass, 230 emails in a month. Or, you could go 38,000 or so. I mean, 230, 38,000, And I'll just a quick disclaimer here. This is actually not just something I grabbed off the internet. I know this person who has 38,000 emails on their phone, and I said, I've got to have a screenshot for this presentation. So, but at this point, right, it's just all junk mail, and it's kind of lost, right? So anyway, don't let this happen to you, okay? All right, ready for the next villain? 1, 2, 3. Pow. Pow. All right, who's behind Pow? Ooh, it's a duo. It's the infamous I am and the terrible text. The infamous I am and the terrible text. Now, their tactic is what? It's the art of surprise. They can show up anytime, right? You could be doing whatever, and it's like, ding, pocket. What's the little sound that our I am does? Or whatever it is, right? And how many of you are really good at just ignoring that? Anybody?
It does it again, though.
Yeah, it does. It does it twice. Does it twice. Now, I'm no good at ignoring that. Okay, that was my phone, sorry. It's Shabaka. So if you hear Shabaka, that's me. That's me getting an email. Anyway, so yeah, and see, I'm distracted. So it works. But with this group, I'm not good at not wanting to pull out and immediately look, right? So this group can really get you in that way that it can just pull you away very, very quickly, okay? All right, door number 3, ready? 1, 2, 3. Boom. Boom. Who's behind boom? Oh, it's the phone of fury. It's the phone of fury. Now, this guy has a little gang, and he can attack you from lots of different angles, right? Because he's going to be on your person, and he's going to be at your office in most cases, right? So he's going to be able to call from the office, call from wherever, and you can let maybe 2 rings go, but you got to pick it up by the 3rd, right? And the funny thing about these first 3 is they're kind of like the super twins, or Wonder Twins. Wonder Twins activate. You know what I'm talking about? Some of you don't. I know you're young, but that's okay. So like these guys can transform, right? Because what happens is I can give you a call and then I can send you an email and say, hey, did you get my voicemail? Yeah. Or, hey, did you get that? Or it's backwards, right? I send you an email, then I pick up the phone and try to call and say, hey, did you get my email? Well, yeah, that's what it's for, right? I got it. I got it. All right, phone of fury. All right, number 4. All right, I'm just going to warn you. This one's a little tricky, okay? So let's see how you do. 1, 2, 3. Bam, pow, chow. Wow, bam, pow, chow, right? Who's bam, pow, chow? I think someone said it back here. It's the deadly drop by. This guy is notorious for, working hard. He works hard. He needs a break. Why don't I just come talk to you for a little bit, right? I'm going to sit down. and talk to you. And you know, the thing about the deadly drive-by is no amount of body language, direct or otherwise, affects this guy, right? You could be full on to your keyboard, right? You know, let me tell you a story, and you know, just okay. You almost have to kind of stand out and just walk out. But the what? he probably would. He probably would. Hey, I'm not done, you know. All right, and finally, 1, 2, 3. Zap. Zap. Who is Zap? Zap is the self-disciplined saboteur. So I think Stephanie and some others kind of talked about this one in multiple cases, but this self-disciplined saboteur is just you, right? You taking that rabbit hole down the internet, right? Because those stories after the other stories that you're reading are crafted just for you, you know? How can I not read them? I don't want to make anybody feel bad, right? Social media monsters can do that too, right? All that. You can also have the curse of the YouTube cycle of senseless wonder, right? Video after video, and then 3 hours later, oh, it's 5 o'clock. Okay, well, I guess I'll come back tomorrow, right? So you can have all of these villains, and we had a couple more that were mentioned, but we definitely know that these 5 are alive and active on campus every day. And how many of you have been affected by some of these villains? Everybody better raise their hand or you're going to be kicked out for perjury, right? So yeah, everybody has. So what we hope to talk about a little bit today, and what I want you to do right now is, have you had success in defeating one of these villains? Even if it was just for a short time, right? What are some strategies that you used yourself to kind of fight one of these villains, okay? So think about that for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Write that down on your handout. And then after you get done with that, I do want you to again to share that with your neighbor, and then we'll see what you got, okay? All right. Okay, who's had success fighting these villains, or at least some of them, or one of them? Anybody want to share, Steph?
It's short-lived.
Short-lived, that's okay.
I really have to focus, I will work by hand. I'll either write it, I'll just turn everything off and work on a legal pad and then transpose it.
Okay.
Focus better that way.
Good. So write in hand, not online, writing on hand and then get it to the computer.
I just closed my door.
Close your door. Some people have that flexibility, right? Some people don't, okay? But that's good that you can.
I will end things like, well, you know, have a great day. And then turn around and start doing what I'm doing, and they kind of will
Oh,
try to
okay.
figure out. And if they don't, we just look odd and sit there in silence for a minute, and they'll figure it out. I do give them my attention. I don't just dismiss them. Oh, okay, sir, da-da-da. Have a great day.
So you have that kind of preemptive close that if someone's sitting there, you're just like, okay, well, have a great day. And they're like, okay, you too.
Walking by, and they'll stop, and then just to get them to going on or whatever. But sometimes I distract myself and want to talk to them. So, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
but that does help, and they have said that it has helped to stop the conversation going on for hours.
Mm-hmm.
Prune your notifications.
I'm sorry?
Prune your notifications.
Okay, prune your notifications, and kind of what's that look like for you?
So, like on Outlook, I set up certain rules that I only get notified for certain emails.
Okay, very good. I think that we probably use about 1% of Outlook's capability, right, functionality-wise. So if you don't know Outlook well, it's very, very powerful. Go back and learn something about it. Courtney?
I've had a deal with a coworker before that if someone was in my office and talking, I could send her a code word by IM and she would call me.
Yes.
Okay, and that might work, right? If the phone's ringing, it's like, do you need to get that? I'll stay right here, you know. You really need to hear the rest of my story. I'm just saying.
Make a push towards asynchronous communication within your group.
Okay, so make a push towards asynchronous communication with your group. So hopefully I'm going to interpret that by just the whole group sort of being on the same page. If I have something to do, my group knows it and they're not going to necessarily bother me during that period of time. Is that, okay, good. Okay, someone else? I heard calendar.
I was just gonna say, we share our calendars so we know where everybody's at and what
Okay.
they're doing.
So sharing calendars so you kind of know where everybody's at and what everybody's doing. Stacey?
Unfortunately, I have been said to be rude, but if I'm working on something, I just throw my finger up.
Okay. Hold up, right? I'm a master one-handed typist. Right?
Set your IM statuses away.
Okay, set your IM statuses away. That works most of the time, right? If I get on IM and I notice someone's yellow, then I may not try to communicate with them. Of course, I know that sometimes away doesn't necessarily mean away, right? So you kind of test the water. It's like, hey, Stephanie, ... Will she respond back? Let's see. No. Okay. I'll just go talk to Jacob. All right. Those are all great. So one thing that I want to talk about before we go to the strategy zone, okay, is that this has got to be something that works for you, right? It's got to be something that works for you within your culture, within your departmental culture. I know that in human resources, our boss doesn't necessarily like us closing our doors a lot, right? And so that totally leaves that opportunity for someone to just drop by. Usually it's me, but we're not going to talk about me, okay? My colleagues are very forgiving of me coming and saying, hey, you got a minute, right? I need to ask you a quick question. So they're very forgiving of that. And you might also be thinking too, it's like, hey, Darrell, I need all these things for my work. This is part of my job, right? I want you to remember too, when you say yes to a distraction, when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, right? And so I'm not talking about, I don't want you to be thinking, well, I need this stuff for my work. So are you saying that never to check email? Are you saying that I should just let my phone ring and not answer it? Do you not understand my inner longings of watching and learning the 10 most fascinating card tricks on YouTube, right? And I'm not necessarily saying that, but I am saying that it does need to fit within your culture. And I don't want you just to kind of black and white this, right? Well, that didn't work, never doing it again. Because there's going to be some parts of this that might work for you, some parts that will not work for you, okay? We'll just say that. So I think the first thing, though, that we have to have when we're looking to try to manage distractions and to manage interruptions is just to know where we're spending our time, right? We've got to know, how much time, do you know how much time you spend processing email every day? Do you know how much time you spend on the phone? Do you ever really get caught in that curse of the YouTube senseless wonder, right? How much time do you spend every day in your certain tasks? And there's several ways that you can do this. There are some web-based tools that are free for you. I've got a couple listed in your handout. They do have paid versions as well, but I find that most of the time the free version does everything you need it to. So you might try one of those. It might even be just kind of an anecdotal thing at the end of the day. Say, I feel like I was in email for a long time today. I bet I spent 60 or 90 minutes in email, right? What are some ways I could help with that? How can I get better at that? How can I get more efficient at that? Because if you don't know what you're doing, how are you going to know how to fix it or what to fix? There's also a couple of productivity experts that actually suggest to have an interruption log for that drop by, right? So the person comes in, person leaves, you kind of jot down their name, the time, what they wanted, and then after a week or two, you can kind of go back and look, is there any data you can glean from that? Was it just kind of like a, hey, how are you, how's it going type of thing? Or is it something that's, always about kind of the similar things? Is it always about the new system, that you're asking about? Maybe Susie comes by, twice a week and asks about the new system. Well, maybe I need to get Susie some more training on the new system, right? And so And sometimes, again, interruptions are welcome, right? I mean, I'm not saying, again, that you never want to have anyone stop by your office and be like, nope, can't, sorry, can't come in, caution tape. Because, we need those breaks every once in a while. But just make sure that it's not while you're focused on something. That's the key to this. This is not going to be an everyday thing, right? To where you're always setting up these strategies for this stuff. It's when you really need to focus on something, when something needs your full attention, okay? Second strategy is to create rituals, okay? Create rituals. And so maybe something to find out, and you probably know this, right? Am I more productive in the morning or the afternoon, right? How many of you are more productive in the morning? Okay, how many of you are more productive in the evening or in the afternoon? Okay, and more productive at lunch? Okay, well, I guess I'm the only one. Yeah, mine tends to be kind of evening, right? Really, for me, it's really after work is sort of when my ideas start coming. So, but why is this helpful to know? Because when you're looking at your week or you're looking to do project work or really need to focus, you know kind of where to put that, right? If I'm not really a morning person, why would I schedule something I really need to focus on in the morning, And two, it's a lot about going to the second one here, how long these sessions will last. That could vary for everyone in the room, right? Some of you might have 25 minutes to spare to focus. Some of you might have 60, 90, whatever it is. But you need to find out and kind of set how long that will be. I would maybe suggest, some of you might be kind of the face of the office, right? You need to be there to answer the phone and greet customers. So maybe that time that you need is just a quicker bite, right? Maybe your work has where you do need to respond to email a good bit because maybe something's coming in or could come in. So maybe set those times to where, you're not turning off your email all day, but every 25 minutes, hey, you're just checking, are there any fires here, right? And now I'm back. Some of you, again, may have more flexibility to turn off your phone, to shut your door, to spend 90 minutes, really in deep focus. It just depends. But know that, will these sessions cause you to go online, okay? That's something Stephanie was talking about in a sense that, she goes to pen and paper, right? Sometimes for ideas or for journal or for writing or for work, and then transfers that back in. So when you do decide that, hey, I don't need online stuff, right? I just want to be here. But then what's going to happen? I think someone earlier said it that, oh, I gotta know something that's online for what I'm doing here. Well, write that down. Don't go online. Set your online times. Set your offline times. And write that down, and then at the end of that time, go check whatever's online, because probably, or a good temptation would be, then you go down, right? Then it's like, oh, what was that score last night? Oh yeah, and then, it's on and on and on. Also, mindfulness is, I'll grant it's kind of a buzzword right now, but I think it's a very important concept. We live in a world today that we have all the answers right at our fingertips. A few keystrokes and we're there, okay? But we really don't give ourselves a lot of time to think, okay? We just don't take the time to think anymore. So I would almost recommend that we take this time. And maybe this is through our breaks, right? Maybe this is through our breaks in between our tasks that we just sit back and we kind of think about something. There's another strategy that you might take a walk and be very proactive in your thinking. So I'm going to take a walk, get some vitamin D, and maybe get some ideas about a creative solution that I can implement. And some of you might say, well, that's why I take a walk, to get away from all that stuff. I don't want to think about anything when I'm walking, okay? And that's okay too. But just, we do need to be mindful about kind of what we're doing, okay? And I think giving us time to think will help us to kind of create those solutions, create better processes, okay? Third strategy is, this is kind of age old, is batching, right? So putting like tasks together, like things together. And there's at least 4 philosophies. There's probably more, but there's at least 4 philosophies of batching. The top 2 really don't work, really wouldn't work for anyone in this room, I don't think. It's the monastic and the bimodal. And that monastic really comes from that term like monk-like, okay? So really kind of maximizing that deep work by minimizing that shallow work. So a lot of people that practice that monastic philosophy, they don't have an email address. They don't have social media accounts. They are unconnected and on purpose, okay? They are unconnected on purpose. The bimodal is really more just about dividing your time, okay? So you might be in the office for a week, doing work, talking to people, interacting, and then a week you'll go to a cabin, and you're very monastic while you're at kind of that cabin. If any of you have heard of Carl Jung, okay, Swiss psychiatrist, this is a philosophy that he practiced in Zurich. So he went away for a week and really focused on whatever he was doing, and then went back to Zurich and was open and whatever. But I don't think any of us can take a week off and go to a cabin, right? Maybe 1 week a year, maybe 1 week a year. But this rhythmic and journalistic approach, I think could work. I think it could work for some of us. So this rhythmic approach is basically just a consistent, regular habit of kind of keeping the same day or the same week for a certain task or for certain tasks. And so a really good example of this is there was a PhD student that was working on his dissertation, working on his research, and he was really having a hard time finding the time to do that, had young kids. So he decided, well, I'm just going to wake up at 5 and use an hour to write. And so instead of producing chapters every couple of 3 months, he began to produce chapters every couple of 3 weeks, okay? This could work for some of you. It may be that, you might even have, like for me, Friday afternoons, not a lot going, right? Some of you, that's not the case. But for me, Friday afternoons, not a lot going. So usually, if I have projects to work on, I'll just kind of put them in right there on Friday afternoon for a while. So I know that that's time, that I can work on that fairly uninterrupted. The journalistic approach is just basically kind of shifting that meaningful work. And I never did define meaningful work, so let me do that real quick. Meaningful work is just something that's vital to your position, okay? Vital to your department, vital to MSU. It may or may not be something that you really love doing, okay? But it's meaningful, and it's going to move you, and it's going to move the department forward, okay? Your boss would really like you doing meaningful work, okay? But what this means is just kind of looking at a week. So if we looked at next week for you and looked at your calendar and looked at your schedule, there's going to be some appointments on there. There's going to be some meetings on there. There's going to be some blocks on there. But there's also hopefully going to be some open times on there. So I might say, okay, Wednesday afternoon, I don't have anything, so I'm going to schedule something that Wednesday afternoon. So this is kind of what it sort of looks like on, I guess I got to stand over here. What it could look like just sort of on paper, right? So really assigning blocks to certain tasks, okay? So for this one, you can see like today, this morning was kind of empty. Tomorrow afternoon, it's kind of empty. So, and I've also got some other projects kind of, blocked out already. So I know that time is, that's what I'm going to be working on during that time. So hopefully I won't be online, I won't check email, I won't talk on the phone for that period of time, okay? And that might work for you, and it might not, okay? But those are a couple of approaches that I think you could garner just a little bit that would help you out. Of course, there's going to be emergencies that come up. There's going to be fires that come up, right? There's going to be supervisors' priorities that come up. And so that's where the flexibility comes in, okay? So if I plan something for tomorrow afternoon and my supervisor comes and says, hey, Darrell, I need you doing this. I'm not going to just throw my notebook up and say, this stuff never works, right? I'm black and white, I'm hurt, this never works. These systems never work. It's just fact of our work. It's a fact of life. So just step back and reschedule that, okay? So our last zone here is the challenge zone, okay? The challenge zone. So the first thing in the challenge zone that I want to make sure you understand is I want you to check yourself. And I'm probably talking more to me than any of you in here, okay? So if we expect to be focused and we expect to not be interrupted while we're working on something important, then why would we do that to others, right? Why would we make their jobs harder? Why would we go down and say, you got a minute, right? But we still do. We still do. And so I just want you to think about that kind of as you're thinking about sending the emails, you're thinking about maybe going down to interrupt somebody, just keep that other person in mind, okay? If you send an email, don't pick up the phone 3 minutes later and call somebody and say, hey, did you get my email, right? If you're sending an email too, make sure that email gives all the information that person needs, right? Your goal in email should be to resolve that issue in as few back and forths as possible, right? That should be the goal. I did a horrible job at this earlier this week. I'd gotten an email from somebody and I didn't know the answer. And so I forwarded it to somebody else and said, can you help me with this? Didn't say what I needed help with. I just left the email conversation there, which is okay. I mean, it certainly doesn't blur the lines of communication that I might have, mixed up. But then the person wrote back and said, okay, here's what we're doing here, and this has all been approved, so how do you need my help? And that made me write another email, right? Okay, well, this is what I really need. Okay, so I could have taken just a whole step out of there and not wasted this person's time on that second set of emails, okay? So just make sure that you're kind of mindful of that you're not practicing some of these villainous behaviors. It's not criminal, it's villainous, okay? And so now, I guess I just want to ask, are you able to maybe take one of these strategies and apply it? Are you willing to take one of these strategies and apply it? Will one of these strategies work for you? If so, commit to implement it. Isn't that neat? Commit to implement it. It kind of rhymes. It's kind of catchy, right? You can remember it, okay? So do that for me. So that's about all the time it's the do not enter zone. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is like a do not enter, like really don't enter, or if it's like a cookie there and say, you don't eat that cookie. It's like, okay. I think we can enter. I think we're going to be safe. Let's see. Oh no, it's our group of villains again, right? I think what our villains really want to know, because these are full-time serious guys, right? I mean, they're not playing around, okay? But I think what I want to know is, what can you commit to, okay, to not be a villain, okay? What's something that you can commit to today to not be villainous, all right? Write that down for me on your handout. It could be being more mindful. It could be not following up that email with a phone call or an IM. It might be implementing one of these strategies that could make you less villainous. Not that anybody in here is villainous. I hope you've kind of sort of paid attention to a lot of the dings and the noises today, right? I mean, so just sitting in this room for not even an hour, we have gotten pinged and dinged and shabaka'd and ESPN'd right? I mean, we have gotten all kinds of distractions going on, right? So it's very, very real. It's very real. If I didn't have to tell you that already, you know, right? So does anyone want to share one of their commitments? If you don't, that's fine. I don't want to intrude on your commitment. I knew that was a dangerous question before I asked. You know, start getting personal.
We'll answer. For me personally, I just always want to have a full understanding of the information that I'm seeking, and have a really thoughtful, full question so that I can get an accurate answer.
Okay.
It's not really fair for me to ask kind of half a question and then have somebody else have to go and chase information.
Okay.
So.
Yes, ma'am.
I did a version of the avoid the drop by.
Okay.
Actually, what I did was I reflected a little bit on who I'm most likely to drop by on.
Okay.
And then I think it would be useful to figure out why that is. And if it's just because I really like that person, then I need to have lunch,
Right.
not just drop by. And then if I do need to drop by, it's one of my secretaries that I do it to, one of the departmental secretaries. Then when I do drop by, I need to limit it to just the business I need,
Mm-hmm.
and then say, let's have lunch.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Amanda, did you have something?
I'm just, as my phone goes off, I'm thinking that I should probably put it on silent, because that little ding distracts me, so if I can't hear it, then I don't know it happens.
Right.
And so maybe I go to the bathroom or something.
Mhm.
And then I'll
Okay.
because we all check our phones in the bathroom. That's when we make our most important phone calls.
I do not admit to that. Well, I certainly appreciate y'all's time today. I hope this has been beneficial. I think by taking some small steps, we can avoid these villains behind me here, and just make MSU and your departments a great place to be and a great place to work, right? Does anyone have any questions about anything? Any comments? And with that, we got it to be dismissed, right? So thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.